What's up, everybody? It's Brian Molina, Young Muscle CEO. Check this out, guys. I thought a long time before making this video, and I never thought I was gonna be like the dude making a response video on YouTube and shit. But like, some comments were like made and brought up that I was like, you know what? I think I have to respond to this shit because this is like an issue that's affected me personally for like a long time, ever since I could remember. And I'm sure that it's affected a lot of people out there, whether you're a student or an athlete or just even a regular person. This whole thing, these comments were made in this video, kind of like racializing athletics. And I just wanted to bring up a few points. And this is in no way like a diss video or a fucking hate video or anything like that. It's not even about the individual who made the comments. It's just about the comments and the ideas behind those comments. And I'm going to give you a couple examples. Okay. I just graduated UC Riverside, all right? That's a university in California. I got a degree. Me, first of all, I'm biracial, okay? And we'll get into that later. But I'm like the only person from my family to have a degree, to make it this far academically. I'm the only person in my community to make it this far academically. Out of all the friends that I had, my generation, two of us graduated from high school on my whole block. And there's a lot of people, on my block. And only two of us made it past the high school level. So me being on campus, and see, because I'm biracial, a lot of people receive me in different ways because based on what they perceive me as, pretty much determines how people would like treat me. Okay, like if they thought that I would belong to this racial category, they'll treat me this way. If they thought that I would belong to that racial category, they would treat me in a different way. And that's something that's always kind of plagued me like my whole life. And in fact, it became so bad at certain points that it became like a huge point of like insecurity for me, because everywhere I went, I was always, because the town that I grew up in was really racially divided. So everywhere I went, I was always tripping on what the person I was engaging with, on how they saw me, because based on how they saw me is how they're going to treat me and how they're going to think about me. So it became like a huge point of insecurity for me, that where I focused a lot on, like my racial phenotype. Okay. And the thing that I loved about bodybuilding was it was a way for me to focus on my physical self, my physical prototype, but without having to trip about the color of my skin or to trip about the features that I have, my lips and my face and my nose and all that shit. But I didn't have to worry about my racial prototype or characteristics. The only thing that I focused about myself physically was how much muscle I could put on my frame. And that to me, like, that may sound stupid to a lot of people that don't get this, but that to me was actually really liberating, because now the only thing that I worry about myself physically nowadays is how much muscle I could put on myself. I don't care. I don't let what other people think of me bring me down anymore. And one of the things, being a college student, okay, traditionally, and I think pretty much anybody will agree with this, traditionally, in this country, blacks and Hispanics have kind of been barred of like higher education. Now, of course, things are rapidly changing now, which is awesome. But regardless, me walking around on campus, the stereotype that I would always get, first of all, I would always be questioned and asked and even pulled over by police in and around campus if I was a student, number one. Because for some reason, I didn't look like a student and I fit the stereotype of what you call it, so-and-so, whatever. Okay? Which, I just learned to deal with that. Because I am a student. I was a student. I graduated. Then the second thing was that teachers, first of all, the initial reaction was, what kind of academic scholarship did you get to come here? Athletic scholarship did you get to come to my university? And I'm like, well, I'm a bodybuilder. There's no bodybuilding scholarships that I know of, which sucks. I wish that there were. But I'm not on a athletic scholarship, and I thought that was like kind of odd. Everybody was asking me that shit. And then after that, it was, oh, okay, you're not on an athletic scholarship. What kind of minority scholarship are you on? Are you on the affirmative action scholarship? What kind of? And I'm like, what? Like, and I got those questions so many times, or like, and I felt like I was getting looked at that way, and I was like, okay, like why? First of all, why do I have to be on one of those type of scholarships for me to be here? You think that I'm stupid, or the people I represent are stupid, like, and we don't belong here or something? First of all, that was my initial reaction. My second, and then after that, my second reaction was, well, like why? Even if I was, why would that bother you so much? So, when people would kind of like make those comments, oh, the only reason why you're here is because, you know, like, you're so lucky. You know, you got a low income scholar or whatever. You got Cal grants and all this shit, and that's the only reason why you're here. And people kind of like look down on you and like in disgust and shit like that. And I'd be like, dude, like, if you knew where I came from, first of all, okay, if you knew where I came from and you knew everything that I went through, and you actually knew that, yeah, hey, you know what, I did get good grades. I'm not just here because I'm a dumbass, a minority with a fucking scholarship. If you actually knew what I went through, you're negating all of my hard work. You're negating, like, you're throwing all that out the window, all my struggle. You didn't see me working graveyard shifts, going to like 3 different campuses and 2 different community colleges. You didn't see me, you know, like struggling to pay bills. You didn't see us losing our home. You didn't see me getting pulled over and harassed by police. You weren't there, okay? So you have, and for you just to say like, oh, the only reason why you're here is because, you know, you got a handout. Like, to me, it's really, really, really offensive and like hurtful. And a lot of times I kept my mouth shut about that. And now what's funny is with this whole bodybuilding thing, and now like athletics in general, but now like these comments that were made about bodybuilding, man, it's kind of like the same thing. Because like, people be like, oh, basketball, now it's a black sport, and then now like bodybuilding is a black sport. First thing, dude, the thing that I love about bodybuilding, man, is that like when you step on stage, everybody's brown. Don't matter what race you are. Look at Jay Cutler, blonde hair, blue eyes. When he steps on stage, he's brown. So it's like that's what I kind of initially really liked about bodybuilding. Because and for those comments to be made, to be like, oh, like kind of like hinting at the fact like, yeah, like I feel like as a white dude, I'm like I'm underrepresented in athletics. First of all, dude, like, okay, I'm Hispanic, all right? Like, I mean, my mix, actually, if y'all want to know, I'm half Irish and half Salvadoran. If you don't know what Salvadoran is, you can Google it. But, you know, I grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood, primarily with my Hispanic family, so I associated myself more with that side. And even at that, a lot of people think that I'm a light-skinned black dude. Like, I've heard that shit. I've been called a light-skinned N-word so many times. Like, and not in like a joking manner, you know. So like, but that's getting beside the point. For me, being like a young Hispanic dude, in bodybuilding, who we got in the top 10? Victor Martinez. He's a world-class athlete, and homie is still getting, you know, like sweated by the 5-0 and by ICE and immigration, going to jail and all this shit. Okay. But the point I'm trying to make is this right here. This is the point that I'm trying to make. Is that, okay, like, I'm 23 years old. The individual made these comments. I believe he's around my age. Most of the people who are watching YouTube, they're around my age or younger. Okay, maybe a couple years older. It really hasn't been, black and Hispanic people historically have been here since the beginning of America, since the beginning. And it really hasn't been till the last 30 or 40 years where African Americans, black folk, have really entered into the mainstream and started, making significant. They've been a force to be reckoned with in athletics and entertainment, and you know, like they're coming in to the mainstream for sure. Like, I'm not going to deny that. And really, now in the last 5 to 8 years, there's been a lot more Hispanic people that now, like look at baseball, the American pastime. All the big stars right now are Hispanic. You got A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, Albert Pujols, Big Papi Ortiz, Yasiel Puig, who just came from Cuba, Miguel Cabrera, and he just, the dude who just won the Triple Crown, I forget his name. It's not Cabrera. I forget his name, but he just won the Triple Crown. Dude is from Venezuela, I believe. He's Hispanic. Even Cain Velasquez, he's the UFC heavyweight champion of the world, and he's Mexican. So really, it hasn't really been until like the last 5 to 8 years where like now there's a big push in the Hispanic community that are coming into the mainstream. And what my point is this: when people look at a black athlete and then they just kind of negate all of his hard work, and it's like, oh yeah, man, it's just he's black, he's got those genetics, like, oh, like us white boys or whatever Nick Wright was saying, like we don't have the genetics anymore, like I'm like, you know what, like people have told me that shit, like people who think that I'm a light-skinned black dude, they're like oh yeah, man, like you just got those genetics, man. Like you just have those so-and-so genetics that everybody's talking about. So that's why you look good and that's why I look bad, because I ain't got those genetics. And I'm like, you know what? Like that, I used to let that shit slide. But now, like, I'll tell people, I'll be like, you know what? Regardless if I have genetics or not, okay, I'm going to tell you something. I'll bust my ass. Yo, come on. Get it. And there's a beautiful quote from Will Smith that he said, the difference between talent and skill. Talent, you're naturally born with. Skill, you only get after working hours and hours and hours and hours beating on your craft. Obviously, to be a top-level athlete, whether it's in bodybuilding, basketball, or whatever it is, you got to have good genetics. You got to have superior genetics. But at the same time, you've got to have a sick work ethic. You've got to be able to outwork everybody else in your class. And there's no way where you could just have one or the other and be a top-level athlete. You got to have both. I know so many people who are genetically blessed and gifted that I outwork, that maybe they got better genetics than me, but I outwork them, therefore I look better than them, okay? And for someone to like come up to me and be like, yeah, man, like basically what they're saying is the reason why, to make themselves feel better about themselves, like the reason why I look like shit and this person looks, or you look real good, is because you just genetically gifted, and you know what I mean? Like you can grow muscle a lot easier than me because you got so-and-so genetics. And I'm like, you know what? Like maybe I do, maybe I don't, but I can guarantee you, spend a week with me, going to the gym, making these meals, sacrificing parties and relationships and everything else that I do. Let's see how long you could hang with me. Get under my weight. You know what I mean? And I know that like a lot of black bodybuilders, like or just athletes of color in general, when people come at them with that shit, like it's like you don't even know how to respond. But it's like, I know it, for a lot of people, it does kind of leave like a sour taste in your mouth. Like, like, do you know how hard I work? Like LeBron, Kobe, all these people, do you know how hard they work? And I'm going to tell you, the reason why more and more people of color are coming up in athletics, things like athletics and entertainment, and like a lot of people aren't going to understand this, okay? And like, to the people who do understand this, you're going to feel me hella hard on this. But like, this is truth right here, okay? Doesn't have to do with race. It has to do with situation. And like a very close friend of mine told me this, and it's one of the most beautiful quotes I've ever heard in my life. It's like, the struggle is like a slingshot. If you take a slingshot and you pull it back, you put a projectile in a slingshot, you pull it back, pull it back, pull it back, pull it back, pull it back. Right before it's about to snap, you let it go. That projectile is going to soar. It's going to fly further, way further and way harder and way faster than if you just pulled it back a little bit or didn't pull it back at all. And I believe that if you look at in the history of the world, most of the greatest achievers in life, whatever it was, presidents, business tycoons, ballers, singers, whoever it is, they were conflicted individuals. They lived through some sort of a struggle. Okay? And in America, a lot of times, okay, like let's take two different people. Let's not even bring race into this. You have individual A and individual B. Individual A, upper middle class, lives in the suburbs, is a basketball player and fell in love with basketball, and it's his hobby. He's got passion, he's got love for the game, he's got posters and stuff like that. Individual B lives in the projects, okay, where there is no hope of ever getting out, of ever becoming anything. And athletics is that one, either athletics or entertainment. Athletics is the one thing that might give you the opportunity to get out of that ghetto, to get out of it's your ticket out. Your ticket out of the projects, your ticket out of poverty, your ticket out of perpetuating a cycle that's been going on for far too long. These two individuals are going to approach that sport completely different. Individual A that lives in the suburbs is going to ball because they love it. Individual B, he's going to slam dunk on your ass because that's his ticket to get that's his meal ticket. That's how he's going to that's his ticket out of misery, out of poverty. When I found out that I had an affinity for football, I realized that I was really good at football. I got to the point where I was like, dude, this might be my ticket out of here. This might be the way that I'm going to make, like my dreams come true. I'm going to get out of here. I'm not going to be like everybody else. I'm not going to become a victim to drugs, to alcohol, to gangs, to going to jail, any of that. If I could strap on this helmet and if I could run through you, and like when I strapped on my helmet, I was looking to tear your ass apart. I was looking to humiliate you, to make you wish that you never stepped on that field ever again. I was there to end your career. When I strapped on, it was a different level of intensity in which I approached this than the average dude on the team. And I got to the point, dudes didn't even want to practice against me. I was the only Hispanic dude on the team, all right? And dudes didn't want to practice against me. It's because I took it to a different extreme. And that doesn't have to do particularly with race, okay? Because look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm going to bring that up. Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously, he's a white dude, right? When he came to the United States, he was competing against black bodybuilders with way better genetics than he did. But he took it to a different extreme because of the situation that he came out of, okay? And this is like a reverse situation. He was an immigrant from Austria. He grew up poor. He didn't even have running water for a good period of time in his life, or a bathroom, nothing. Like, he came from nothing. And then he came to the United States and he ran circles around the athletes here in the United States because he came from a different struggle. So he put everything into his chosen sport with a different, he took that intensity to a different level. And unless you're a person that has been through some sort of adversity like that, unless you're a person who has approached whatever endeavor in life that you're approaching and aspiring to attain, you're not going to understand that. And that's just like simple as that. You're not going to be able to understand the level of intensity that LeBron has when he balls, okay, versus somebody else who maybe didn't grow up the way that he grew up. Or you're not going to be able to approach hip-hop and business the way 50 Cent does. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's a different mentality. So it doesn't really have to do with race. It has more to do with the situation that people come out of. Now, traditionally in the United States, black and Hispanic people have been subjugated. And traditionally, athletics has been an avenue or a ticket out of that situation. So when we ball and when we strap on a football helmet, or when we get underneath a barbell, or when we throw on some boxing gloves, we're going to take it to a completely different level than what another individual, it doesn't matter what race they are, if they didn't come from that same situation, okay? Oscar De La Hoya boxed his way out of East LA, okay? There's a lot of top-level athletes, and not just athletes, of every race, competitors, business titans, successful stories that have come from the most tragic and most disadvantaged backgrounds that you could think of, okay, and all across the board. So I think just to like be like, oh, it's just genetics, and this sport is turning into that, or this sport is too black or too brown, or that we can't, like, to be honest, guys, like, I find that hella offensive. Like, I do, and I know a lot of other people do, and I think that that's just like kind of like a cop-out. Like, it's a cop-out of like putting yourself through that hard work to that level. Because, guys, I'm going to tell you something straight up, and this is just the truth. Especially in athletics, let's just talk about athletics. I could talk about any other bit in the business world, entertainment world, whatever. to be a top level anything, especially top level athlete, it's not what you put yourself through is not healthy.
Yo,
whatever sport it is, whether it's UFC, boxing, bodybuilding, whatever it is, you're pushing it to such an extreme that if you want to be the best in the world, nobody else can do that. So you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He used to say, like, he said everybody had better genetics than him. Like Lou Ferrigno, if I had Lou Ferrigno genetics, or like, Serge Nubret, Sergio Oliva probably had the best genetics of any bodybuilder in the history of the sport. He would just look at a barbell and grow muscle. But the thing about Arnold is that he had that iron will from that background of poverty and everything that he grew up in, to run circles around people. He even said when he lifted weights, when he would go to the gym, he's like, bodybuilders would stick onto me like fleas, but none of them could hang with me. He outworked everybody. He was in the gym for 5 hours, 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, twice a day. So I just wanted to make this point, guys, obviously you do need to have genetics, but you can have great genetics and be from any race, all right? Like Jay Cutler, okay, like looking in the top 10, you saying that there's no white people in the top 10? Like you got Branch Warren, you got Evan Senapani, you got Jay Cutler, you got Steve Kuko, you got Dennis Wolf, okay? And then even on YouTube, like, all right, like Ice Cream Fitness, he's a white dude. Louis Marco, he's a white dude. Matt Ogus, dude, Matt Ogus has badass genetics. Dude's physique is like out of this world. And to be like YouTube is watered down, becoming black or what, because TMW and POG and like they're black, like I don't get that. I'm like, dude, if you want to, if I wanted to play big time, I'd be like, dude, I'm the only Hispanic dude, like. Again, that's why I even joke around with that shit. Like I say, Hispanic don't panic, because people actually do panic on that shit. I'm not sure why, but that's just been my experience. But like the thing about this is that like athletics, man, and I'm gonna end with this. Bodybuilding is like, I love this sport. I love athletics. I love competing. And the thing about this game is that when it comes down to it, the dude who worked the hardest, the dude with the best genetics, you combine those two, he's gonna be the champ. Okay? If you got a dude of any race, it don't matter. If you got a dude with superior genetics, but he's not willing to work as hard and push as hard as the next dude, he's gonna get outworked. He's gonna get outcompeted, and that's just the way it is, Like, and if you really want to be a top level athlete, you can't worry about what genetics you got or don't got. You can never worry about what you don't got, all right? Because like, if I would have been tripping my whole life about what I don't got, best believe me, I probably wouldn't be alive right now, or I'd be locked up in jail somewhere, because I could be like, well, statistically, 1 out of 7 people that look like me end up in the penal system. Be like, statistically, like so many of us die before we're like 18 or 21. Statistically, all, like 1 out of 2 minorities are going to contract early onset diabetes that are born after the year 2000. Statistically, I'm at more risk to get cancer, HIV, and, all the horrible disease. Like, for some reason, statistically, my prototype is more likely to suffer from all this horrible shit. But see, the thing about me, and I truly believe that this is probably the greatest reason, one of the biggest influences to the fact why I was able to make it out of where I'm from and so many other people didn't, was because even though I was aware of all these things that were against me, I made a conscious decision to not believe that shit. I believe, you know what? Yeah, okay, odds are against me, whatever. I could look up all this statistical data and bullshit and like these sad statistics that are like depressing as fuck if you really get into them. And I was like, you know what? I don't care about any of that shit. The only thing that I know, and I know for sure, is that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make my situation better and to get out of here. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody tells me. I don't care how many obstacles get in my way. If I sit and complain, I'm going to die. I got to keep moving forward. And that's pretty much has been the determining factor in my life, and why at 23 years old, I can say like I'm alive and I'm free. And I'm better than alive and free because I'm doing pretty damn good. And so I just wanted to bring up that point. I know this is a long video, but hopefully that'll clear a lot of shit up. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. And like I said, this isn't like, I'm not trying to diss no one. I'm not trying to, like, you know, be enemies with anyone. You know, I'm not calling or labeling anybody anything. I'm just saying, man, this is my experience, man. And this is something that, like, has affected me, and I know it's affected a lot of other people out there. And I'm proud of my hard work, and I think everybody should be proud of their hard work too. So until next time, guys, from the block to the top, man-made muscle, street-made hustle. I see you at the gym, baby.
For me, I can't worry about what everybody say about me. I'm LeBron James from Akron, Ohio, from the inner city. I'm not even supposed to be here. That's enough. Every night I walk into the locker room, I see a number 6 with James on the back. I'm blessed. So what everybody say about me off the court don't matter. I ain't got no words.